the AFC South.
It's going to be a four-way battle, and I'm with you. I think Jacksonville finally dethrones Indianapolis here.
AFC West.
I'm going to go with the Chargers because I think it's now or never. I still like them in that division.
And I don't. They're just too troubled.
Look at that division. Who else are you going to pick, Skip?
I can't wait for this.
Don't go Broncos.
I'm going with Jay Cutler. I'm not a homer. Jay Cutler is going to have a monster year this year, and I say Denver steals that division over a fading San Diego team.
That is almost word for word what I said.
Dude, they're all right, though, because San Diego sucked, Denver sucked, the division sucked. They went to an 8-8 and went to the playoffs. So everything they said is right.
How about the wild cards?
I'm going with the New York Bretts and with Vince Young.
Vince Young,
who benched in week 2.
Now the Titans were there. I'll give him that, but it wasn't because
Vince
of
Young
Vince
wasn't
Young.
even on the field. Vince Young.
As far as Super Bowl 43 is concerned,
I got Vikings, Patriots.
I've got a basic repeat of last year. I've got an NFC East team upsetting the Patriots in the Super Bowl again, only this time it is the Philadelphia Eagles.
Strong
Donovan
pick.
McNabb finally wins his ring.
Strong pick.
Yep.
without T.O. Again,
Yep.
it's just for T.O. that you're doing this.
Nope, I'm doing it for McNabb.
What are these morons thinking?
Right. They got close.
Damn
close.
My God. They suck, man. I tell you what, they don't know a damn thing. Don Banks, that idiot, we've been making fun of him for years, too. Every single freaking year dude, almost every week he writes a column that's nothing but wrong crap all the way through it. It's nothing but wrong. This year he finished the Browns would be 12-4, would be the team to beat in the AFC. He predicted the Lions would finish 9-7.
Yep. And by the way, for the people right now running to their computer to send us an email to talk about the picks we got wrong, I'm not getting paid what these jerk-offs are getting paid to do this. When we start charging you for this podcast, then you can complain about our picks.
Man, he keeps threatening y'all, doesn't he? He keeps threatening y'all. But you know what? Every year when we make our picks, we make our picks to prove to make our picks we make our picks to prove the point that none of these idiots know any more than we do.
Right.
None of them do.
Right.
I picked the Saints this year, for God's sakes.
Well, you weren't alone either. You were not alone in that.
I was not alone, Tom. You picked the Cowboys and said, as I quote, if I can't pick them this year, when can I pick them?
Well, right, you know.
A lot of people have picked us to win the NFC, and rightfully so.
I think what he says, if you listen to that more carefully, is a lot of people have picked us to be in the NFC, which technically he was right.
Yeah, okay.
That should be known as the Donovan trumpet.
There you go. Speaking of Donovan,
it's the McNabb mating call. Play it again. We'll see if we can attract a female Donovan.
Team unity. You know, Terrell Owens been called a cancer and a horrible teammate and all of this, and it was all his fault in Philadelphia. Well, listen to this. When a number of Eagles grew beards toward the end of the season, it just made me all warm and fuzzy inside. Camaraderie, John. That's what sports are all about.
Please.
That wasn't the end of it, though. By the way, this comes from Philly.com. It's written by John Gonzalez. Members of the Eagles defense just got markings applied to their bodies, not tattoos, tread marks. That's what happens when you end up beneath a bus. In the latest example of not-so-fearless leadership, Donovan McNabb hinted, and not very subtly either, that the Eagles' defense was to blame for the NFC Championship loss in Arizona.
Well,
McNabb
he was right.
He was on WIP-AM. Well, that's debatable. He was on
WIP,
WIP recently when he was asked why the Eagles could not score another touchdown after the Cardinals took a 32-25 lead. McNabb said, "We were up 25-24. Then, in case people missed it the first time, he repeated it for good measure. We were up 25-24.
That's right.
They drove
you know what?
down. What?
I agree with him, though, dude, because they were down, 21-7 at one point?
Right.
21 to something, 21 to, I don't know what it was, but they were down. They got down by 3 touchdowns real quick.
Maybe he should have scored more points and not let them get down.
I guess he should have, maybe.
But anyway, the Cardinals drove down 72 yards by running the ball. Probably, 8 times, he said? And it reminded me so much of the NFC Championship game in St. Louis We're coming back in the second half. They ran the ball 9 times with Marshall Faulk to keep our offense off the field because they were terrified of us going back out and scoring more points.
I don't mean to name names, but that dude and that dude and that dude over there, they fucked it all up.
Uh-huh. Yeah, well, John Gonzalez says, what an interesting selective memory McNabb has. It's true that McNabb helped put the Eagles ahead late in the game against Arizona, and it's true the defense had a terrible day, but it's also true the game was not over. After the Cardinals went up 32-25, nearly 3 minutes remained on the clock. That's almost 5% of the game. In a shocking development, the Eagles even had a timeout remaining.
5% of the game. It's lovely how Philadelphia looks at this stuff.
Since when do athletes leave work early, kick back, and put their cleats up? If Ben
They all do.
Wait, no.
Not athletes, but the rest of us do.
If Ben Roethlisberger and the Steelers had headed for the bar at the 57-minute mark, yesterday's parade would have been held in Phoenix instead of Pittsburgh. And he's right.
That's true. He's right.
He's right. I mean, we see 2-minute winning drives all the time.
Boy, Kurt Warner was pissed off, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. Meanwhile, publicly stating that you did your job while implying that your coworkers didn't do theirs can't make you very popular with the other guys at work. Some people will say it's not a big deal, but it is, former Eagles defensive end Hugh Douglas says.
Oh, it's the ambassador. The ambassador has shown up to spout off what he's got to say. Hear me, oh peoples of Philadelphia. The ambassador to the locker room has got a proclamation.
He started a fight down in the locker room, and look at what he did to my sash.
Hugh Douglas. Donovan done torn my sash. I've got to tell you all the truth.
When you break that team code, it hits home. When you call someone your teammate, you're calling them your brother. This is Hugh Douglas. Be loyal to your teammates. It's easy to point fingers. Brian Dawkins is a team player. He would never do that. McNabb was not available to comment.
Now, I remind you that this team wanted nothing to do with me. 2 times they threw me out of the locker room. But let me tell you something. When you go down the locker room and you ain't a member of the team and you start a fight with one of the stars, you expect everybody to have your back.
Right.
And when you's out there on the field letting the Cardinals running up down your throat, you expect the quarterback to have your back.
John Gonzalez says, the whole thing reminds me of the post-Super Bowl episode of The Office. There was a fire in the building, or so everyone believed, and everyone panicked. When the boss thought there was no escape, he pushed people out of the way and screamed, "We're trapped, everyone for themselves."
That's right. Yeah.
This McNabb business is sort of like that, only without Steve Carroll's comedic genius. When things started to get hot and uncomfortable, McNabb decided it was every man for himself.
Everybody for himself.
I know Donovan. I respect Donovan. In his mind, he didn't say anything wrong, Hugh Douglas said, but a leader thinks before he speaks. That would never come out of a leader's mouth. Every year, Donovan says something that's inflammatory. Then he doesn't explain himself. Explain yourself, Donovan. When you alienate people who have your back, I need to know why. I need to understand how he thinks. Right now, I don't.
It sounds to me like he doesn't get Donovan McNabb's message, Tom.
Right.
He just does not get the message that's coming from Donovan. Donovan is laying down the gospel.
The message I try to send to players across the league, when you have that bump in the road, be able to either go over it or go around it.
Donovan's gospel. It ain't my fault.
It's easy to blame the quarterback when the team loses, but I'm definitely not the reason why we lost.
It ain't my fault.
Right. Hey,
I sure hope Chicago calls me.
Jamal Anderson, bang. Jamal Anderson has been arrested. This story is amazing to me. The former Atlanta Falcons star running back has been, he's been on ESPN on First Take on Skip Bayless' show. He hasn't been on. I think he was on with Skip once or twice, but he does a segment with Cordell Stewart. They've been talking about the NFL all season on that show.
We call it, what the hell is that on the side of your face, nigga? That's what we call it. And every week we get a new guest on there to try to guess what the fuck that is on the side of Cordell's face.
Well, he was arrested at an Atlanta area bar after he was found in possession of cocaine and marijuana.
Oh.
According to TMZ, this is great, Anderson was busted inside a bathroom stall where a patron reported hearing a snorting noise and reported it to the bar's bouncer, which just happened to be an off-duty Atlanta cop.
excuse me, I do believe there might be somebody doing narcotics in your restroom.
What a narc. Who the hell was that?
I don't know, but the snorting sound was Anderson and another man doing lines of cocaine off the tank of the toilet. That is so disgusting.
Yeah.
The man responsible for the Dirty Bird end zone dance was hauled off to the Fulton County Jail, and he has been released on $6,000 bond.